This is Red from This Building Matters, and in this video we're going to check out St. Paul the Apostle, originally St. Joseph's Catholic Church, which has been serving Calumet's Catholic population for over 115 years. I put out videos like this every Friday, so please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's check it out. By the late 1800s, over a dozen nationalities were represented in Michigan's copper country. Flocks of immigrants arrived to work in the copper mines, which had been digging deeper and expanding their workforce since the late 1840s. Though the Keweenaw Peninsula's copper production would be overtaken by Butte, Montana in the late 1880s, the industry was still big business into the first quarter of the 20th century. The first Catholic congregation in the area was Sacred Heart Church, which was founded in the 1860s. At that time, the town was called Red Jacket and was named after a Seneca chief. That said, the area was always nicknamed Calumet because of the nearby mine of the same name, and the town was officially renamed that in 1929. The Calumet and Hecla Mining Company owned most of the region, including the land under which many of the area's churches, schools, and homes were built. As immigrants flocked to the Keweenaw Peninsula's company towns, more churches were needed to handle different denominations and languages arriving from across Europe. Eventually, Slovenians from Sacred Heart Church, which would become primarily English and German, separated, forming their own congregation called St. Joseph's. The congregation's original wooden structure burned in 1902, so the church planned a more magnificent house of worship. The modern structure, designed by Shandon Eastman in the Romanesque Revival style, features twin spires crafted from Jacobsville sandstone, sourced from nearby quarries. Paul Humphrey McNeil designed the church's interior, which has changed little since it opened, and Ford Brothers Glass Studio in Minneapolis handled the stained glass windows. Between 1870 and 1900, Calumet Township's population boomed from just over 3,000 to nearly 26,000. With an influx of population, Calumet supported 6 Catholic churches. St. Anthony's catered to Polish immigrants, St. Mary's to Italians, St. Anne's to the French, St. John's to Croatians, Sacred Heart to English and Germans, and St. Joseph's, pictured here, to Slovenians. Copper mining in the region began to decline harshly after World War I, and many of the immigrants who had arrived to work in the mines moved to cities like Detroit and Chicago that had burgeoning manufacturing sectors. Calumet Township's population peaked in 1910 at nearly 33,000 and fell to just over 9,000 by 1960. By the mid-1960s, the separate parishes were dwindling, forcing the closure of multiple churches. By this point, the American melting pot had merged many of the cultures of Copper Country, though some strong cultural traditions remained. In 1966, many of the remaining parishes merged to form St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church at the former St. Joseph's building, pictured here. Though the church has seen some modern upgrades, like an elevator and lighting improvements, it looks mostly the same today as when it opened. Calumet has changed dramatically over that same span, offering a unique landscape around this historic church. The Calumet and Hecla Mining Company, which had once virtually owned all of Calumet, operated just 6 mines in Copper Country when the former St. Paul parishes were amalgamated. Universal Oil Products bought the company in 1968, and the miners went on strike later that year. The new ownership saw the strike and diminishing returns as enough reason to close the mines, and they've been shut down since. Calumet's population was 1,007 in 1970 and fell to just 621 at the 2020 census, representing an 87% decrease from its historic high in 1900. Nearly all of the town's current population could fit inside St. Paul the Apostle's 500-seat house of worship. Today, Copper Country has 5 Catholic churches, including chapels in Amique, Copper Harbor, and Eagle Harbor. Calumet services are spread out between St. Paul and Sacred Heart, whose new building was completed in 1986 after a fire destroyed the old one in 1983. The former St. Joseph's Catholic Church is one of my favorite religious buildings in the world. The church's spires are easily seen from all over town, and its location next to the Mineral Range Depot provides a unique look into Calumet's past. I don't know what Calumet's future holds, however, I'm hopeful this church building can continue to be an integral part of it. If you enjoyed this, please throw a like on the video, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for a new video every Friday. If you want to support the channel, there's 2 links in the description below, one to buy a t-shirt and one to buy a print from my print shop. Until next time, this building matters.